Good afternoon, everyone. We continue our study in the book of Numbers in the chapter of 32, and it has a reference back to Numbers chapter 21. Now, in Numbers chapter 21, let me just put it here. In Numbers 21, we read about the conquest of Sihon and Og. We also read this in Deuteronomy chapter 3 as a review of Numbers 21. But in Numbers chapter 32, there is a discussion between the children of Reuben and the children of Gad. These are two tribes of the 12 tribes of Israel. And it is described to us that they had a very great multitude of livestock. It means that they've got a lot of animals in their possession. And in the abundance of livestock, they had seen the land of Yatzer and the land of Gilead. This would be on the eastern, right? This is the eastern Jordan. This would be when they were coming up from the eastern side of Jordan, passing through Moab, Ammon, and then they went up and conquered Sihon and Og, the two Amorite kings. And in that land, it's called the land of Gilead, right? Gilead. And they saw that the region called Gilead was very good for livestock, very good for the animals that they have. And so the children of Gad and the children of Reuben came and spoke to Moses, to Eleazar, the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation. When you talk about the leaders of the congregation, it'll be leaders of the 12 tribes. All right, these are the 12 tribes. And by 12 tribes, you notice that it would be 12 tribes minus Levi, which means that from the tribe of Joseph, we would have the replacement of Ephraim and Manasseh. And so what did they say? Gad and Reuben said that the place of Ataroth, Divon, Yatzer, Nimrah, Heshbon. This would be El Yaleh. This would be Shavam. This would be Nevo and Baon. These are the country which the Lord defeated before the congregation of Israel. It's a land for livestock. What they have, basically, that's what they're saying. And your servants have livestock. Therefore, they would be Reuben and Gad, says this. Now, observe the statement that is being made. If we have found favor, and by favor, you should read the word chen, that will be grace. And it says, in your sight, this will be in your eyes, literally. If you can find grace in your eyes, then let this land be given to your servants as a possession, as an inheritance. Now remember, they left Egypt. God promised them the promised land, the land that God will give them as an inheritance. Now Moses had taken part in the earlier defeat of Sihon and Og, the two Amorite kings. And this would be on the eastern shore of the Jordan, in the land of Gilead, all the way up to the north in Bashan. And so they were asking for this land, which is Gilead. Do not take us over the Jordan. Now, what does that mean? It means that Reuben and Gad says that they do not want to go across the Jordan to conquer that land because they're quite happy with this piece of land called Gilead. In verse 6, Moses said to the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, always remember these are the two on the eastern shore. The question is this: shall your brethren go to war while you sit here? Your brethren means your brothers who are in the other tribes, right? While you sit here means to reside, to stay here. The implication would be that there will only be 10 tribes that will go over to the conquest. And so the question is, hey, that's not fair. All 12 tribes fought for the land of Gilead, fought Sihon and fought Og. And now you want the land, and then you are what? Not going over, not joining your brothers. And so the question by Moses is, now why will you discourage the heart of the children of Israel from going over into the land which the Lord has given them? The idea here of discourage, how should we say, cause them to hold back. That's what it means. Cause them to hold back. I guess in a way, to sort of dissuade them, to not give them the moral support that since you are all going to stay here, why don't we all going to stay here too? But the real piece of land is also on the other side of the Jordan. And so Moses was upset with them and says, how can you say that? This was what your fathers did, because nobody wanted to cross the Jordan. Your fathers did just this. When I sent them away from Kadesh Barnea to see the land, and the land here is across the Jordan. This is about the discouragement. Moses is trying to explain to them, if you stay here and not join your brethren across the Jordan, you are going to discourage them. For when they went up to the valley of Eshcol, they saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel, so that they did not go into the land which the Lord has given them. Now, what is happening here is the idea of discourage is the same idea of discourage in verse 9. In verse 9, the holding back was because 10 of the 12 spies says, hey, let's not go over. They are all very big. We will lose. We cannot fight them. And that's the meaning of discourage the heart. And so the children of Israel, except for Caleb and Joshua, everybody said, let's not do it. That is I would say the parallel that Moses is saying. Are you trying to discourage them? And Moses said, at that time, the Lord's anger was aroused on that day. He made an oath. See, God makes the oath means that he's telling you that this is definitely going to happen. Saying, surely none of the men who came out from Egypt from 20 years old and above shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me. Not wholly followed me means they are not full-hearted. They are not satisfied to follow God. And that's why they didn't go in. But God swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that land. Now, the second thing you should understand here is that this is for 20-year-old and above, which tells us that when they left Egypt, there were two groups of people, 20-year-old and above, and those below 20-year-old. And so the ones below 20-year-olds have grown up in the wilderness, and they too have children. They are the generation that was born in the wilderness. And so the earlier generation, the 20-year-old and above that came out of Egypt, God says, you are not going to go in because you did not wholeheartedly follow me, except for Caleb and Yehoshua, the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. In verse 13, it says, the Lord's anger was aroused against Israel. And when it says about the Lord's anger, remember the word anger gives us a connotation that the Lord's nose was hot against Israel. That's the way it is expressed. And he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years. Wander in the wilderness means to go round. And this idea of wander, it's the idea of quiver. We could see this word in, I guess, Genesis chapter 4. That Cain had to be a fugitive, to go here, go there. And so the idea of wander is not that they are just going here and there, but they don't have a place called home. And so they were wandering in the wilderness. That's the picture of wander. Wander means they don't have a permanent place. So for 40 years, they had to move around. And it says that until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone. Done evil in the sight of the Lord means that they have done Ra. All right. In the verse 13, they have done Ra in the eyes of God. So God could look at what they do, and they were doing what is not functional in God's eyes, not pleasant, not good, not tov. And that whole generation who did that, and God could see, had gone. Was gone means they had died. They are no longer around. They're no longer there in the group. And say, and look, you have risen your father's place. You are taking over from your fathers, isn't it? A brood of sinful men to increase still more the fierce anger of the Lord against Israel. You are going to make God even more angry. For if, that's a big conditional, you turn away from following him, he will once again leave them in the wilderness, and you will destroy all these people. So do not discourage these people to cross. Now they came near to Moses and said, you know what? It's not like that. We will build sheepfolds here for our livestock and cities for our little ones. We want to build a permanent place to have the place for the animals and have cities for the people. But we, the men, we ourselves will be armed, ready to go before the children of Israel until we have brought them to their place. Now, what does this mean? Before means ahead. They are going to go in front of the children of Israel. In fact, because they are getting the land first, they are going to fight for the children of Israel. Because now they have brought them to the land of Gilead, they are happy. Now the men will cross over and join the brethren to fight for their place, so that our little ones will dwell in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until every one of the children of Israel has received his inheritance, because Gad and Reuben would have gotten theirs first. And later on, we see the children of Manasseh on the east. For we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance has fallen to us on the eastern side of the Jordan. Moses said to them, if you really mean this, if you arm yourselves before the Lord for the war, before means ahead, in front of God, and all your armed men cross over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies before him, meaning they'll go in and fight and clear the place until the land is subdued before the Lord. Now, the idea of subdue here literally means to bring into subjection, so that they are masters of the land. And then afterward, you may return and be blameless before the Lord and before Israel. Blameless in this sense is important, because if you look at verse 22, this would tell them that the idea of blameless is that they are free from guilt, right? No punishment. That God will not hold them, neither will Israel, because they have gone to the front line and fought hard for them. And this land shall be your possession before the Lord. This land is the eastern part, the Gilead land. But if you do not do this, then take note, and this becomes a warning. You have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build cities for your little ones, folds for your sheep, and do what has proceeded out of your mouth. What does this mean? What has proceeded out of your mouth? As you have said. It is so important about what they say that God is going to hold them responsible for their commitment. The children of God, the children of Reuben, spoke to Moses, saying, your servant will do as my Lord commands, as Moses commands. Our little ones, our wives, our flocks, all our livestock will be there in the cities of Gilead. But your servants will cross over, every man armed for war, before the Lord to battle, just as my Lord says. In verse 28, we see how Moses made the contingency, gave the command to Eleazar the priest, to Joshua the son of Nun, to the chiefs, fathers of the tribes, the children of Israel. They would be in the gathering, right? And Moses said to them, if the children of God, the children of Reuben, cross over the Jordan with you, every man armed for battle before the Lord, the land is subdued before you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead as a possession. Now, the challenge is this. But if they don't do this, they shall have possession among you in the land of Canaan, which means that the earlier eastern part of Jordan will be disregarded for them. This is their negotiation with Moses. Then the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, As the Lord has said to your servants, so we will do. Yes, we will cross over armed before the Lord into the land of Canaan, but the possession of our inheritance will be with us on this side of the Jordan. Verse 33, Moses gave to the children of his God, to the children of Reuben, and to the half tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the place of King Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the king of Gog, king of Bashan. This is the eastern land that was taken over from Sihon as well as Og in Bashan. The land with its cities within the borders, the cities of the surrounding country. And the children of God built Dibon, Ataroth, and Aroer. So Atroth and Shofan and Yazer and Yokbachah, they are slightly different. They are fortified cities, and so they could actually be comfortable and secure staying in those cities. The children of Reuben built Heshbon and Elieleh and Yatim. Now, Nebo and Baal Meon, they are pagan names, words. And so the names are being changed. And the Shivma, and other names given to the cities where they were built. Now, this basically gives us a feel of how and under what condition did Moses agree to God and Reuben for getting the land on the eastern shore of the Jordan. And the children of Reuben built Heshbon and Eleakah. And then we have Kiryataim, Nevo, and Baal Meon. The names were changed during the reign of the Amorites. And so with Shivma, they gave names to the cities which they built. And so the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it and dispossessed the Amorites. That would be the King Og of Bashan area way up north. And so that entire area to the northeast of the Galilee were also captured by the children of Israel, and it was given to Machir, the son of Manasseh. So Moses gave Gilead to Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he found in it. And then he stayed in it. Dwelt means to stay. Also, Yair, son of Manasseh, went up and looked for his smaller towns and called them Havoth Yair. And Novah came and went and took Kenath and his villages, and he called it Novah after his own name. So we get a mixed naming convention. Why? Is because in the days of the Amorites, they have used pagan god names. And you can see now that the Israelites are very sensitive even to names, that they cannot associate themselves with Canaanite names, because the Canaanite names are names of their gods. And because of that, they have tried to change the names of the Canaanite cities and call them by a different name. And with this, we should be clear now that we are venturing towards the dispossession of the land, and for Egypt, for Judah, right, to conquer the rest of the south. And you find that there were 30 odd cities that Joshua would lead them to conquer, so that the conquest will be complete. So all of these are found that the three tribes of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the children of Gad, and the children of Reuben all took land from the eastern shore of the Jordan above the Ammonites. And so this is what it means by God giving them the land. And in so doing, this is symbolic of God literally giving them land that they could use and own, but on the condition that they are faithful to God. Now, with this, we come to the end of our session today